I'm just now realizing my day is over. Now I'm supposed to pick up the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning and give you a call. I don't even know how fucking bad your day was. For all I know, you could be knocked out, and then I call you at 2 o'clock in the morning to wake you up. Do I really want to call and get cussed out? Those are questions you have to ask. Now, technology makes it easier to communicate more often, but how do you know you don't work a job where you don't have good phone reception? There are buildings like that. I'm just saying. So, bro, let her go. Let her live her life. Be fair. Stop being greedy. Same thing with you women. Matter of fact, a lot of you women are pretty bad about that because you will make a guy back at home think you saving yourself for him, and meanwhile, Bob at the office plows you every Wednesday and Thursday on his off day.
Okay, Tom. This sounds personal now.
It's not, because I don't know a Bob. I don't know a Bob at the workplace, and I've never worked with anybody I dated. Well, take that back. I've never worked with anybody I've been in a committed relationship with.
So you just smashing in the office? What you saying?
Every job I've ever had.
Oh my God, I can't right now. Me?
It's true though. Funny but true.
Now, we need Mia to give her side on it because she has a very different perspective on long-distance dating than what you have, sir.
But, of course.
My perspective on long-distance dating is probably not as lengthy as Tone's was. I love you, Tone, but you know.
I know you do. I know I talk a lot.
So, I think that with long-distance relationship, it all depends on the couple. Some people can handle being in a long-distance relationship because there are planes that fly, trains that go, cars that drive, so they're okay with being in a long-distance relationship. I think the biggest stressor with a long-distance relationship is finances. You have to be financially stable to me to be in a long-distance relationship because not only do you have to provide financially, which means that if I say, well, babe, I don't have the means to come, but I really want to come see you, or he says, well, babe, I really want to come see you, but I don't have the means, somebody has to have the monetary means to be able to say, where, here, babe, let's pay. I'll pay for your ticket, and you just come visit me, you know, and then you take that week off. I'm sorry, but I think that those are things that really matter. Do I think that a long-distance relationship can work? Most definitely. When things are set in stone and things are said, well, you know, to be always open and honest about everything that happens, no matter what you think that it will happen, no matter what you think that will go down, or no matter if you think I'll be mad or whatever, when those things are said and those things are taken into consideration, I really think they can work. I think so. Most times a lot of men, well, I can't say all men, but most times a lot of men will use the excuse and say, well, I don't think I can be in a long-distance relationship because, you know, I'm a sexual person.
Right.
Well, so can we, like,
exactly.
Okay, so I'm not a sexual person? Like,
exactly.
So I'm not a sexual person? So I think that that's an excuse. Like, that's an excuse for me to say that I'm a sexual person. I don't think I can handle. There's sexting, there's Skype, there is Glide, there is FaceTime. There's all types of ways. Hell, there's the old-fashioned just me sending you a picture. There are ways to still be connected. I was talking to one of my friends last week, and I was asking him, like, what do you think about long-distance relationship? He said, I think they can work as long as communication happens. So I asked him, I said, do you think that you can fall in love or fall for someone that is in another state or in another city, or you can start to create feelings without actually touching that person or being around that person? He said yes, because a connection between a woman and a man is more than physical. It's spiritual and mental. And I'm all for that. Like, I believe that with a good spiritual and mental connection, a woman and a man can last in a long-distance relationship. So all that excuses, excuses. You can save $200, $300, get on the airplane and come see me. If you can buy a video game, you can save that money that you buy to get a video game to come see me. Like, those are the little things that matter to me.
All right, so check this out. I agree with some of the stuff you said. Of course, it's me, or else I wouldn't. But here's my thing in regards to that. If you're already a sexual person, meaning that past relationships, or even if you knew the person and then they left to move somewhere else, that transition is not an easy transition. Okay? Being the fact that, I'm not even going to point anybody, but y'all, use y'all example. Y'all are very sexual beings. I've noticed that about y'all via conversation. Some things I don't want to know, but apparently I do. Y'all can't sit here and tell me that if y'all been in a relationship with somebody for about 6 months, okay, and it's been a very intense relationship, okay, you have that thought of that physical interaction, that oneness that y'all have created at times. You're not going to sit here and say, oh, I'm going to be okay with only seeing you or touching you for a month at a time because you have to save $50 per every time you get paid to be able to pay for my flight ticket or to help out on me coming down there. That cost of that traveling is very expensive. Hold on now.
But you make sacrifices for people that you love and that you care about.
I've done it
so as much as in your mind you say,
and that's why in the beginning of my conversation I said, if you've been with a person under 2 years, let it go. Okay? Let it go. Because, in my past, let them
So
let
I have a question.
Wait.
So you said that, so you're saying that if you're in a long-distance relationship with a person and you've been with that person, so say, for instance, although we all know Tasha's not currently in a relationship, so if Tasha decides to date somebody here in Alabama, just for instance, if she decides to date somebody here in Alabama, or heck, not even here in Alabama, what if she decides to date somebody in Texas or Alaska? So if she's been with that person for less than a couple months and she's not supposed to pursue it?
No, she could pursue it. But after a while, it's going to become a financial situation that she then has to question herself, is this really worth it? That becomes a true question. But it will
become a financial situation if you know. This is why when you date somebody or when you get into a relationship with somebody, you make sure that you both are financially stable and able to handle.
But here's the thing. Let's go back to the previous conversation. Earlier, you said if you met somebody without having physical conversation, so you met them online, okay? Not everybody is truthful online. We wouldn't have shows or have stories based around people not being what they seem. And dudes have a nasty habit of lying about their financial situation. They do it on the daily. They'll go out here and buy all these different types of outfits to make themselves look a certain way to make you perceive that they have money. So at that moment in time, that particular gentleman could have the financial stability where, my savings account's got about $1,000 in there. It's only cost about her, $250 for her to come here to visit me. Yeah, I can go ahead and front her off a few times. So Tasha does go down there. She goes, sees him. He gives this perception that he's about that life. Because remember, she's only down there for no more than a week at times because she has a job and a life she has to get back to. That means that for about 3 to 4 weeks of the rest of his life, he can go back and be the bum that he really is. So now, the text messaging, the video chatting, the conversation, the deception that's being created by viewing things strictly through the web only has now gotten a little bit deeper where she's infatuated with the idea, not the individual. That's the biggest thing that happens with online dating. You don't fall in love with the person in most cases. You fall in love with the idea and the concept that person created, okay? It is then, only then, where you now have to reality check yourself. She done came down there 4 times based on this $1,000 theory we've just created, okay? Now the money's starting to run out, all right? Bro don't have savings like he had before. He ain't got that money he can blow. Now he's living check to check. So, yeah, y'all talk, y'all conversate the whole 9 yards. Now it gets to the point where Tasha has to go in her own pocket to come down there to see him. And after a while, Tasha will do that a couple of times, but then eventually Tasha gets cut into her savings. Now she's at that point where she has to ask herself, is this worth it? You're now cutting into my future funds of what I need to do, and I only see you maybe once, twice, every other month, okay? Conversations will now start to go down. You don't hear from him as much as you used to before. He's a little busy. He can't video chat that day. Things start to change. So you can't always assume that when you meet somebody, you're supposed to take them as is on face value, because we as a world don't show you everything on face value. Hell, our fucking government doesn't even do stuff on face value. So why do you expect the people that live in it on face value?
Well, we're going to agree to disagree on the long, because we can be all night on this topic, literally. Like,
I got to give my viewpoint on this, because I've been silent. Here's my whole viewpoint on it, because I've done this before. And there are valid points on both sides. Yes, it becomes frustrating after a while, especially when feelings become involved, and especially if you're both very sexual beings. There's going to be that longing there, so there has to be that discipline there. But what I learned from the first, and I had deemed at that time the last time I was going to do that, is that there needs to be some kind of end game there. Like, I wouldn't dare go into a long-distance relationship planning for it to stay that way. It has to be something like, okay, if we get to that point where we like, okay, we're next level, we're a couple now, we need to be sitting down and talking about who's moving where, who's doing what. There is no way. It needs to be an end game somewhere in there. That's the only way I would even entertain doing that, because as you said, if we're not there, then okay, I'll see you when I see you. I'm going to do me here. You can do you there.
Exactly.
But if we're like, okay, I love you, you love me. Okay, we need to be together. Okay, now it's time to sit down and talk about relocation, because yes, it does become expensive. Planes and trains and whatever else, that adds up. Okay, so that's how I look at it. If you're going to jump in and do that, sit down, make a game plan. Unless you both of you just kicking it, and I'll see you when I see you. That's my whole view on that.
And that's why I said 2 years, because usually by this point in time, you're well enough in the relationship that you know this is the person not only you want to be with for the rest of your life, but you know how you're going to get to that point to be there. So if relocation is the only sacrifice that's standing in the way of making that happen, well, shit, baby, we're going to make a game plan to make that relocation work for both of us. That is why I look at it differently. Okay? These new relationships, these online relationships, they're just entertaining your mental aspect to know somebody wants you. That's why I look at it like that. Okay? If you don't have a physical interaction to start this off, you're going to be in a minimum of a 6-month relationship that is going to be 85% a lie. And that's just how I feel about that, honestly.
Cool.
But...
well, if you don't mind, Mr. Tone, can we go to a break? Wait, okay.
Hold on, who is this?
We are joined by the co-owner and the host of the Death Express Show,
Lord,
who would like to go ahead and express his opinion on tonight's show of tashss-taste.
Why everybody say, oh, Lord, when I walk in the building? Because it makes me feel like y'all don't think that I have an educated opinion.
Wait, hold on. As a co-host of tashss-taste, you have literally 2 minutes to say your piece.
Woo!
Damn, bruh.
I'll fire a motherfucker this week. Keep playing.
You had 2 minutes to say your piece. 2 minutes.
Well, you gonna have a whole bunch of time to say your piece on unemployment if I keep playing with me.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
No problem, bro. No problem.
My co-host's not going nowhere.
Whatever. I was calling to chime in, and she got the bullshit with me. I didn't do this. I didn't start this.
Okay, 2 minutes. Let's go. Start. Go.
I think long distance relationships are a bunch of bullshit.
Oh boy.
I'm just saying, it is what it is. I think people make up